Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can be a scary world.
Ooh.
Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles, and with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields,
we're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge we all need to build a great life.
After all, you only get one that we know of, so you'd better make the most of it.
Damn tootin'.
Let's do the show.
Well, on today's show, we got some fun things coming up for you. We're going to talk to Professor Jim again, thinking some better thoughts. He's going to teach us how Hanlon used to shave.
That's right. And we're going to do a sad moment and be joined by Auntie Mel to talk about some brothers and sisters in Africa who can't catch a break.
Indeed. And we'll hear from Rabbi Gruber about his grand exodus. So stick with us.
All right, let's do the show. All right, once again, we want to welcome back our friend, Professor Jim, for Thinking Better with Professor Jim.
Yeah, we're going to think better. Welcome, Jim. Thanks for coming back.
Good to be back, guys.
And what do you got for us? What are we learning today?
Okay, so you may recall not too long after the events of September 11th, 2001, people started fixating on decisions that were made during the events of that morning or leading up to it that they thought were very suspicious.
Oh.
So let me give you two examples. On the morning of, after planes had already flown into the World Trade Tower,
Allegedly, but go on.
That's true. We could go there.
No, we really can't.
A decision was posed to Vice President Cheney: should our military's fighter jets shoot down passenger planes that appear to have been hijacked and are heading for buildings?
Sure.
And Cheney famously gave a stand-down order. He said, no, do not do that.
Okay.
Here's another example. President Bush received warnings leading up to 9/11 indicating that there were terrorists that were planning a major attack on the United States, and that didn't seem to resonate with him sufficiently enough to take measures that
right.
ended up
the
stopping
August 6th memo.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, these presidential briefings. So what that caused some people to do is begin doubting the official story of what happened on 9/11.
Sure.
Right? Where the official story is, a small group of men, largely from Saudi Arabia, hijacked these planes and did it as an attack on the United States.
Right.
The thought is, wow, boy, if Cheney could have stopped that and didn't, looks like maybe he's sort of in on it somehow. If President Bush could have stopped it ahead of time and didn't, he suddenly looks suspicious. And what we gradually get are 9/11 truthers, right? These are people that essentially believe, it comes in a variety of different shapes and sizes, but essentially believe 9/11 was an inside job. That the Bush administration, and then fill in the blank, people have different theories about who else was there, were actually the ones that were behind that. And these actions that were taken in the days ahead of time and the day of that could have prevented worse things from happening but weren't taken are sort of the prime examples you point to say, look, these people were part of the conspiracy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
we're not getting into jet fuel doesn't burn that hot, are we?
Why don't we save that for another episode?
Okay, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
This one's just about...
That's our other podcast.
This is just
jet fuel.
This one's just about... was the Bush administration involved in this thing?
There's a code in the protocols of the Elders of Zion that proves... No, sorry, go ahead. That's our other podcast.
That's, the one that we don't tell anybody about.
So, the basic way this reasoning works, and really I would say conspiracy theories generally typically work, is you start with, you find holes or issues in the official story that you don't find satisfying.
It's suspicious.
That's right. It's suspicious. And then, because the official story doesn't sort of jibe with the way you think the world works, you suddenly now become suspicious of the people who generate the official story. And so in this case, it's people like President Bush and Vice President Cheney.
Okay.
So here is the basic problem with this reasoning. There's actually a term for it. This guy named Robert Hanlon, now the term is Hanlon's razor.
Okay.
And Hanlon's razor is never attribute to malice that which can be sufficiently explained with stupidity. And this is an adage to live by.
Okay.
I'm getting a tattoo. Yeah. I swear. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Never attribute to malice that which can be sufficiently explained with stupidity.
Yeah.
So, the way it plays out in this particular scenario is, right, sure, it is the case that in hindsight, had Vice President Cheney permitted military jets to shoot down passenger planes, we might have had less loss of life on that day, right? But
less loss of building life. Plane life would have been bad.
Yes, but it would have.
But yes, it would have. We would have sacrificed a couple hundred for a few thousand.
Yes, and those couple hundred die anyway. But the thought would have been at least you're sort of intervening to do something.
Right.
Right. If you rewind to September 10th, 2001. The thought that the vice president would have sanctioned our military jets shooting down a passenger plane is idiotic.
Right.
Right? So while it's true in hindsight, we can say, boy, had he done that, things might have turned out a little bit better. Doing that morning would have been crazy.
Well, and it bears remembering that before that day, hijacked planes were used to get terrorists to a safe place.
Yeah, to get things.
Yeah, you go
It was ransom. Yeah.
or it was like, get me to Cuba because I'm going to be safe in Cuba. It was just get the plane to a place it was not supposed to land.
Yes.
And it
was
land,
a bargaining chip.
And it would land safely, and hopefully we'd get all the people off eventually, and the person would get whatever they want or whatever.
Yeah.
So up until that moment, planes had not been hijacked to be turned into missiles.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then you switch over to President Bush. Similarly, it's true that he got a particular warning in the days in advance of September 11th.
Right.
But presidents get dozens of warnings about national security threats every day.
Right.
Right. And so it's easy after a particular bad event happens to go back and say, hey, look at that one you missed. Right. But when you're getting hit with dozens of warnings every day, right, you have to sort of pick and choose which ones you can sort of use resources to act on.
Right.
And so I think there's a sense in which, in hindsight, I'm using stupid here in a looser sense. There's a sense in
It
which
was George W. Bush. You can use it in this very specific.
You're comfortable here.
Remember that golden age, guys?
when the president was just stupid.
Right, when the when we were all worried about the dumb president.
Oh God.
Oh.
So I think in hindsight you can say, boy, that was stupid. He didn't pick up on the fact that actually Osama bin Laden was planning an attack. Or, boy, wasn't that stupid? Dick Cheney didn't prevent further loss of life by not ordering those down.
Right.
Right. But
so when it's plausible that you could say these were just acts of ignorance and not when it's plausible that you can say that they were acts of stupidity, that's
a better explanation than trying to come up with some sort of elaborate conspiracy.
Right.
Yes.
Right. The attributing it then to malice means that you're going not just one step different, but you're going a way off to a very different course.
Exactly. And the reason it's called Hanlon's razor, it's playing off, there's this term Occam's razor.
Right.
Occam was a philosopher from the Middle Ages, and the basic principle of Occam's razor is when sort of a series of explanations for some phenomenon are presented, pick the simplest one.
Right.
Conspiracies.
The simplest one that still solves the problem.
Right.
That still gets at the solution.
That's right. And the point when you sort of transition to Hanlon's razor, essentially the point is stupidity is always a simpler answer than elaborate conspiracy based on malice.
Right.
People are not very good at controlling the world in really complicated ways to bring about nefarious ends. They are good at being stupid and making mistakes.
You think they're not, but that's only because the Illuminati doesn't want you to think that they're that good.
The Bilderbergs. And I wonder if this kind of thinking. I mean, there's conspiracies about all kinds of things, but that kind of series of events that lead to that thinking, when it's something that is so unprecedented.
Yes.
A massive attack, the assassination of a president.
Yeah.
Something like that, where in the case of 9/11, we did have a president who until recently was considered deeply stupid, and a vice president that was a shady, shifty motherfucker. And so that didn't help.
No.
That didn't help.
That's right.
So,
But and here's the other thing that we have to be careful of. There are conspiracies in the world.
Absolutely.
They do happen, and it's not like we can just dismiss the notion that a conspiracy is impossible. We have to we live in a world where people conspire and do bad things. As a matter of fact, the true story, or rather the official story
of 9/11.
9/11 is about a conspiracy.
Absolutely. It's a small group of individuals planning an attack.
Right. And
against a long odds, pulling it off pretty
Absolutely,
spectacularly.
yeah.
Right.
So we don't want, I don't think the lesson is don't ever believe conspiracy theories.
Right.
It's rather, right, when presented with a scenario where stupidity is available as a viable explanation, the burden of proof is on the conspiracy theorist to show us how the nefarious malice is actually better than just stupidity.
a better explanation for what happened.
What additional evidence do you have to support that? So,
What's interesting is that, if we look at the official story, if we look at what presumably actually did happen, which is a bunch of Muslim extremists did conspire.
Yeah, what's the magic words? What is it?
Maybe it's just like bad people.
Radical Islamic.
Bunch of bad guys.
Yeah.
Baddies.
I think we can safely say Muslim extremists.
Okay, it's your podcast.
Can't we?
It's your life, dude.
All right. So they did conspire with malice.
Yeah.
To do this, but stupidity is not a decent explanation for carefully planning out getting into airplanes at the same time and forcing pilots to fly them or flying them into buildings.
Yeah.
You can't accidentally bumble your way into flying two major passenger jets into three different buildings.
Right.
That stupidity is not a valid explanation for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an interesting contrast.
Yeah.
To me, conspiracy theories they're certainly interesting, and we've acknowledged sometimes there is truth to them, but it is a malpractice of skepticism. It's doubting, it's okay to doubt the government's official line on something if you have strong reason to believe it.
Yeah.
But then backfilling those gaps with presumed bullshit that you are not willing to kind of test the hypotheses, that is a complete misuse of skepticism as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
And that's an interesting point, that the conspiracy theorist can say, well, you're just not skeptical enough because you're not following it all the way through to where I'm
You're
going.
a sheep that buys the government line.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But what you're saying, Jim, I think, is that there are reasons to say, nope, you've gone too far. What you're proposing requires 1,000% more evidence than you're providing.
Yeah.
And we have a theory in place that is well supported by evidence.
Yes. Or at least it's with the evidence that we have, it's the best explanation.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's a healthy
And I
way
would
of
say
looking at the world.
I also think it's worth keeping in mind that this isn't a kind of flaw in thinking that just applies to conspiracy theories.
Right.
It's something that humans do unfortunately pretty generally. So, somebody learns that they didn't get invited to a party. Typically, the sort of initial thought is kind of, wow, what does that person have against me?
The first thought is, why is Dan such an asshole?
Yeah,
He didn't
why
invite me to that?
Somebody's doing this on purpose, right? The easier explanation is probably they just forgot.
Right.
Right.
In general, assuming malice over stupidity is going to get you into trouble.
Yes, people are far stupider than they are evil.
I think that's a good way of going about life.
But it can still lead to bad things.
Right, yeah. And some people are evil.
Yeah.
But if you assume stupidity rather than evil, you'll be a happier person.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well,
What a great conclusion.
wonderful, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks
Good to
so
be with
much,
you guys.
Jim.
Moving on.
Well, kids, Uncle Mark is going to depress us all now. We're going to get into oppression expressions, ways in which religious beliefs out there in the universe, they don't always have nice effects.
No.
in the world.
No. So, this is not probably going to be the funnest segment of the show we do.
Oh, we'll have some fun.
We'll find a way.
We'll find a way.
Laughter through the tears.
Yes, indeed.
But it's an important subject to talk about, and there has been from time immemorial religious people oppressing other people, and
it's kind of the primary, like one of the primary functions of religion.
Yeah,
is making sure that everybody stays as down as
unequal.
Right.
It's kind of what they're going for.
Yeah.
So,
or at least sad.
We all, if you're listening to a podcast like this, you're probably well aware that atheists and skeptics and people like that are certainly oppressed by religious majorities in the world.
They can be.
But most of the time, when believers are oppressing someone else, it's generally other believers.
Well, I mean, when oppression when a religion starts, one of the best ways to keep people in that religion is to tell them what shits they are, to tell them how bad they are, to tell them, and then they keep going. Then they keep wanting your approval.
Well, not only that, but it is oftentimes, for instance, it will be a Muslim majority oppressing a Christian or other sort of Muslim minority or a Hindu nationalist oppressing someone else. This is very much a story like that. And so for our maiden voyage into this segment, I thought we'd start with one of the saddest ones. And that is the fate of albinos who happen to be unlucky enough to live in a few parts of East Africa.
Oh, dear.
So...
do you want to take a quick moment to explain what albinism is?
Yeah, so albinism is a recessive gene that causes a lack of the proper pigmentation that you would normally have based on your genetic makeup. So there are albinos occur in every sort of racial group. But when you're talking about a part of the world where people are generally very dark in their racial group,
hue,
then an albino is very much a standout,
right,
from that group. And
we're talking very pink skin, very white hair,
and blue eyes generally.
And did you? I learned
or
this.
even pink eyes.
Yeah.
You can have pink eyes.
I learned that blue eyes are actually the absence of color in eyes. I did not know this.
True?
Yeah, it's like the sky is not actually blue, but it's how light diffuses through it. And our eyeballs, those of us blessed with the blue hue,
with no eye color.
Apparently,
eye color.
Apparently, it's not blue. I just don't have any eye color.
You have brown. Mine are green, so I'm probably better.
Yeah.
Mine are brownish green. So far, I feel like I've hit the jackpot with color.
Yeah,
got all the colors. Dan's got nothing.
Yeah.
So albinism actually is not super rare in Africa. According to an article I read, its incidence is about 1 in every 1,400 people.
Wow.
So not crazy rare. So,
yeah, I mean,
in the U.S., I think it's 1 in 17,000.
Really? How do you know?
Yeah. Because I actually just talked to someone last night whose granddaughter is albino.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Whoa. She's just got stats at her fingertips.
I do.
Auntie Mel.
Because I'm just that smart.
Wow. Good job.
Thanks.
So so what we're talking about with albinos that happen to live in Tanzania, Malawi, Mozambique, and South Africa is that, Africa is obviously a massive continent that has a dizzying number of belief systems and indigenous belief systems and colonial belief systems that were brought with their Christian colonial overlords. That luckily most of the colonialism has been overturned,
so that they can continue.
But they left behind a lot of shitty ideas.
Yeah,
and there were some indigenous shitty ideas. So this indigenous
shitty ideas are not. Nobody has an exclusive
corner on that market.
Right.
That's what makes us all the same.
It's what makes the world go around.
All got
Our
fucking
shitty
terrible
ideas.
All God's chillins got shitty fucking ideas.
So like elephants and rhino, they are hunted and killed for their body parts, which can fetch thousands of dollars and are often trafficked across borders.
You're saying human beings.
And you're saying 2017?
This is an ongoing problem. So the slayings of people with albinism are common in Tanzania, Malawi, Mozambique, where body parts are used in witchcraft rituals because of superstitions that they can bring riches, success, power, or sexual conquest. children are especially vulnerable. It is so insane. The danger has become so significant that the United Nations Refugee Organization has recently begun relocating families of people with albinism in Malawi to Canada.
Wow.
So again, bless our Canadian brothers and sisters for taking in, people that are this vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because people with the condition are so visible in their communities, they are often forced to hide in their houses to avoid attack, abduction, and slaughter. And they're not even safe there.
So what are people thinking that they're getting? So somebody...
They're like magical or mystical or holy.
So, for instance, it seems across cultures, everything that is really rare and really beautiful has a power. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, tigers are being wiped out because Chinese medicine demands their penises so old guys can get boners.
Right. I mean, and
rhinos are getting wiped
fair
out
enough right there, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Duh. But...
We need boners more than we need tigers.
So, there's no more boners, there's no more tigers. So, the kind of, for lack of a better term, witch doctors that kind of haunt this area...
Right.
Believe they've convinced people that different parts of the albino can be used to
cure this or that, or
it's actually really a lot of money spells. It's very much
to
about
give you riches.
It's very much about money.
Do they notice whether it works or not, or do they just keep blithely doing it?
That one didn't work. They must not have been.
That must not have been a good albino. I got a bad albino.
I got it. That was the bad one.
So it's so insane that like people, these men will snatch children out of their mother's arms in broad daylight in like the market.
Yeah,
and then
kidnap them and then kill them.
Good.
And
I mean, in one way, I imagine you can fetch a high price for this stuff on a horribly black market, but so they are getting money. So wealth is occurring,
but not to the people who are.
Oh my God!
It's not even the people who are.
It just works in the wrong way.
Exactly. Well, even the wrong people are getting it. The witch doctor is getting it, not the person who wants the money.
Right.
Like this is insane.
Yeah,
this is insane.
Just a couple instances. The latest apparent victim was a 9-year-old Malawian boy named Maeso, who was traveling to visit relatives last month when he was attacked and abducted by a gang of 10 men. He's not been seen. Other recent young victims in Malawi, a 2-year-old whose teeth and clothes were found dumped in a neighboring village.
God.
9-year-old Harry Mokoshini, whose head was recovered by police. And teenager David Fletcher, whose body was found without hands or feet.
I'm very uncomfortable with all of this.
It is horrendous, and it kind of goes against type for what we're trying to do on the show, which is to have a little bit of a good time.
Right.
But there are, in any examination of what superstition and extravagant claims about the truth in this world, the effect they have, inevitably you're going to come across this kind of story.
Well, and here's the problem: is that anyone who says, "Well, I believe that everyone has the right to practice their religion." And everyone has the right to their own beliefs, and
that you have to respect them,
and you have to respect another person's religious beliefs. This may be the most extreme version of "no, I don't," but no, I fucking don't.
Yeah.
No, you fucking don't.
But it's an absolutely legitimate.
Yeah. This is a nightmarish, inhuman, barbaric practice.
It's not okay,
and it's not okay. And just because this is the deepest shade of an awful trait in human behavior.
Yeah.
The ones that are less terrible, just genital electroshock,
it's a little more insidious.
It's more insidious, but any mistreatment of people, that for faith, you don't have to fucking respect that.
Right? Nope. And that's one thing that we need to just keep in mind. Yes, it's easy to say I don't respect witch doctors who are murdering people for the magic powers of their unpigmented skin.
Yeah.
But the truth is that totally translates to I don't respect a religion that oppresses gay people just because they're naturally attracted to someone that I find icky.
Right. Or thinks that, like many like many religious beliefs in the world, that women should not be in the house when they're menstruating.
Right. Well, I mean, that one, nobody in Christianity that I'm aware of actually practices that, but it's in the damn book.
It's in the damn book.
It's in the rules.
Yes.
So
yes, nobody practices
speaking
that.
of which, Mel, we didn't ask you. We have a question that we should have gotten to before. Now
this is coming up in an uncomfortable moment.
This is awkward.
Yeah.
We'll do it off air.
Okay, good.
We'll do it off the air.
And then I'll let all of you know next week how I feel about the question they asked.
So I think extreme examples like this just help us see that.
Whether it's large or small, you got to
Yes.
be aware of.
Yes, that oppression, especially for these bizarre things, bizarre beliefs, is never acceptable.
It's just not okay.
Yep.
So there you go. Thank God we got through that. Let's
Yikes.
move on.
All right.
Well, Mark, we're forced to do a new segment that we've never done before.
Yes, we are finding ourselves in the strange position of suddenly having a lot of patrons.
Yeah, we are. I'm overwhelmed by the love that's been poured out over us, like so much beautiful hot cocoa
Beer.
and so we have people that we have to thank. We were unprepared. I figured, a month or two in, people would start deciding that they wanted to be patrons, but indeed, they have decided to right away, and
Right out of the gate, and we're just stunned and thrilled and delighted, and it makes us want to actually try.
well, yes, we may start doing that at any moment.
Yeah.
But also, this is actually what will keep this thing going. We can't really do it without your patronage, because we pay people to help us out with this thing.
We sure do. We
And
have equipment and microphones, and we have a multi-studio facility.
No, we don't. We just
right.
have the one studio.
Wink.
But we do have people that we need to pay, and we and we need to keep our so anyway. The patronage is what's going to sustain us. So these people have decided to be our patrons. Thank you so much. I'm going to name them all because they're special to us.
Let's do it.
So, thank you to Roger, Rick, Beth, David, Captain Patrick, Jake, Cynthia, and Corey. And there's one more person we need to thank. Now, if you go to our Patreon page, which you can get to by going to the howtoheretic.com, you can click on the Patreon button. It'll get you right to our Patreon page. And if you read through, you'll notice that there are rewards for different levels of patronage. And one person has earned himself his own heaven.
His eternal reward. And that patron is Brandon.
Tell us about Brandon's heaven, Mark.
Brandon, you have earned an eternity of our gratitude, and so we have custom designed a heaven that we think will fulfill all of your wants and needs and desires forever. Brandon, your heaven is called Champania.
Woo!
Champania is a wonderful place.
Yeah, let's pop the cork on that.
The eternity that has been designed for the generosity that Brandon has bestowed on us to reside in forever is Champania. Champania is best described as an eternal Lawrence Welk show. There's a blue velvet curtain, an ebullient bubble machine, and a smart band plays snappy updated versions of Viennese waltzes all day and all night, forever.
Oh, who wouldn't want this?
And Brandon is not alone in Champania. It is also the well-deserved Valhalla for all the Polish-American senior citizens who ever attended a Lawrence Welk taping as well. But there's more, Brandon. And once every 400,000 years, an earnest young couple of kids from rural Indiana break the upbeat monotony of Champania by serenading Brandon and company with a saccharine-sweet a cappella duet of Brewer and Shipley's One Toke Over the Line while hanging out on a yellow ladder. It's going to be wonderful. Oh, and there are super aggressive ostriches made of fire. Enjoy, Brandon. Your generosity has earned you a custom eternity from which there is no escape and no return.
That's right. That's yours alone, Brandon. And thank you so much for your patronage. Thanks to all of our patrons.
Absolutely, guys. It really tells us that we got lightning in the bottle here, and we're going to try to keep going.
Yes. Moving on. Well, Uncle Mark, our listeners may know that I have this other podcast called Thank God I'm Atheist.
I heard it one time.
Yeah,
it needs some work, but it's pretty good.
It's a little rough around the edges, but it'll do in a pinch.
Yeah.
Every now and then, Frank and I on that show would start talking about something to do with Judaism. Have you heard of these people, the Jewish peoples?
Yeah, they're around.
So anyway, we would inevitably get things wrong, of course, and then we would hear from Rabbi Gruber, who just sort of popped up as our cultural expert and cultural and all other things expert on the Jews.
I heard his. You guys read his stuff many times on the show,
and he's here
in studio.
David Gruber, Rabbi Gruber, welcome.
Shalom.
Well, thank you
to our show. It's a treat to have you here.
It's a treat to be here. Like I said, I feel like I'm on hallowed ground.
Well, indeed you are.
Take off my shoes.
Yeah, that would be the traditional.
This is where a lot of your Patreon dollars go.
Exactly.
Flying in high dollar guests and whining and dining them here.
Or catching them when they fly themselves in.
Exactly.
So we're good at that. Or when someone else flies you in.
Exactly.
So that's always a good thing. So I thought, Rabbi Gruber, that we'd have you on, and just because yours is an interesting story, and one that relates to a lot of what some of our listeners are going through, but is unique in its own way. I thought we'd start by having you sort of discuss the path first to becoming a rabbi, your path, because you didn't do it. You didn't do no pussy like American rabbinical training. You went hardcore.
Yes.
So tell us about you. Tell us about how you came up.
Well, I'm an 8th generation rabbi, so it is kind of the family business.
Wow.
Gadzooks, is that true?
8th generation.
Wow.
Yeah. My great grandfather was not a rabbi, so it's actually spread over 9 generations. But he was a carpenter, so I am the great grandson of a Jewish carpenter.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And a huge disappointment.
So my dad's a conservative rabbi, but we were pretty much raised Orthodox because when I was 7.5, we moved to Israel. And Israel, whereas in the United States, Orthodox Jews make up, nobody really knows the exact number, somewhere between 6 to 10%. In Israel, if you are religious, you are Orthodox.
Interesting.
So there's a very respectable contingent of the country, which are secular Jews.
Sure.
So a language that we use a lot, right? But your average American Jew would not really use.
Interesting.
And
so that would be someone who is still considered a Jew, but not practicing the religion at all.
They see them because Judaism. I was going to say Judaism is more than a religion, but really everything but Christianity is the kind of broke the mold.
Oh, interesting.
It used to be that your religion and your nationality, right, were one and the same,
intertwined. Yeah.
And so Judaism is more than a religion, and so you totally can be a Jew and say, well, that's my civilization, my culture, my nationality, my ethnicity, but I don't really do anything that has to do with the religion.
Right.
So that's those folks. My parents were like, okay, we're not going to raise you as conservative. We'll raise you as Orthodox Jews.
Right.
And there, it also boils down to what school do you go to? Because here in the United States, even in Utah, right, there's separation of church and state. And so,
I mean,
in
such
theory,
as it is.
In theory. Yeah.
So they're roommates.
So when you go to the public school, it's a public school. In Israel, there are 2 kinds of public schools. There's the public school, there's the secular public school, there's the religious public school.
Okay.
And so my parents were like, we're going to send you to the religious public school, which is Orthodox, essentially. And so we as the kids really took to this and saw ourselves fully as Orthodox.
Interesting.
And so went through that Orthodox school system.
Is it a good education? Is it a real education? Because I know that I mean I hear about like these private like Hasidic schools that teach almost nothing.
Same problems exist in Israel. Israel has the 2 quote unquote official systems that are run under the Ministry of Education, and then they have other school systems that are outside of that. And same problems that we have in the United States with if you're familiar with Footsteps, they're an organization that helps folks that are formerly Orthodox, but mainly formerly ultra-Orthodox. And a lot of stuff that they do is just like teaching you English.
Right.
Yeah.
So they don't
Get a
the 3
GED.
Rs. They don't get the 3 R's necessarily in those schools.
No,
It's all just
no,
completely
no,
religious.
no.
They don't even get R.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
get a Hebrew letter instead.
Goofy Hebrew letter.
I don't know what the Hebrew R is, but
So yeah, but I went through the school system where it's equivalent of what we would call modern Orthodox here,
Right.
in the United States. For high school, I went to a yeshiva high school. Again, part of that modern Orthodox community in Jerusalem, and then had to make the choice of, do I go to the army for 3 years, like everybody else,
Right.
or do I go to this different program that many yeshiva students will go to, where you are essentially in a 5-year program instead, and so you are committing yourself to 5 years. Part of which is in the army, part of which is studying in yeshiva. Now, many people just go through that, finish the 5 years, and go to university, become,
architects or
architects, lawyers, whatever you're going to do.
whatever your mother would be proud of you. for
Exactly.
doing.
It's doctor, lawyer,
That's a
accountant.
racial slur.
That's it.
I know. I'm
Racist.
I think-
Jackie Mason once said that every Jewish mother wants her son to be a doctor, if not a doctor, a lawyer, if not a lawyer. No brains at all, an accountant, but preferably a doctor or a lawyer.
Right.
So I was the exception in the sense that I was like, kind of like this, and even though it was not my plan to become a rabbi, I really wanted to go into academia, because my dad is a rabbi, but he's been primarily in academia. I kind of made a switch about 2 years in. I was like, I want to be a rabbi.
Interesting.
And I want to go into education. But then I had another switch kind of in my 7th year where I decided, okay, I still want to be an educator, but this really cool opportunity arose where I could go into a program that trained rabbis to go to far-flung communities. So you can't stay in Israel, you can't go to North America, anywhere else on the globe, go crazy.
Wow.
And we'll help match you up with a congregation. And so I was matched with the Orthodox congregation in Wellington, New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
So the far end of the earth.
Please tell me you had some charitable organization or something there called Jew Zealand.
Jew Zealand?
Please.
I never thought of that. Oh my God.
Opportunities missed.
I can't believe this. Wow.
So many regrets.
I'm going on the internet and I'm getting the trademark for that.
Yeah.
Sure. So
you had a little congregation.
Congregation,
Yeah.
about 1,500 Jews in Wellington, about 5,000 Jews in all. This is 20 years back, so
Right.
97 to 99. So don't trust the statistics right now. And then we kind of wanted to return to civilization, my wife and I, and we were like, okay, let's go to the States.
How many of the Jews in Wellington were actually sheep? Did you count those as part of the congregation?
The people are not sheep. What Australians, there's a very there's kind of a friendly rivalry between the two, and Australians will claim that Kiwis are very close to their sheep.
Right.
Yes.
I've heard this
in a very unrabbinic fashion. But there were an actual sheep in the congregation.
Oh, that's good.
So then we went to Kansas City. And I ran a small educational organization there in the Jewish community. And then I really wanted to, as part of that, I taught in high school, and I had wanted to go into education anyway.
Sure.
And so then we went to Toledo, and I ran a small Jewish day school there, K through 8 Jewish day school. I was kind of the number 2 at that. And then I'd been kind of looking at this school in Dallas for a while. And the opportunity arose to move to Dallas to be what I would call the number 1.5 at the Orthodox high school.
Okay.
Dallas. So the very interesting high school that was run for about 13 years by a Pentecostal Christian.
Oh.
Running an Orthodox high school, because he's a very, very good educator.
Yeah.
But they needed somebody to serve as kind of, okay, his number 2, but for some things you're kind of the number 1. So that's why I said it's number 1.5.
So for the Jewish things,
exactly, you're the number 1.
You took the wheel.
Yeah. So
and the rest of the time Jesus took the wheel.
Well, yeah. I was the assistant principal of Judaic Studies. And here's where the story gets interesting. So I'd always been somebody who asked more questions, maybe, than the average.
Which is in the rabbinic tradition.
Yeah. I asked a lot of questions, and I was always like reading like one more book to continue studying.
Sure.
And I was putting together this really cool course about, Jewish ethics, and there was a moment. I was reading a book specifically about what's called the 13 principles of the faith. Now, see, Judaism is primarily about action and less about belief.
Okay.
But in the 12th century, it comes along Maimonides.
Oh, yeah.
And says,
we're very familiar.
Don't we have some, the Christians and the Muslims have all these like beliefs and stuff. We do too, but we've never really kind of figured out exactly what the boundaries are.
Right.
So I'm going to do that. So he sets down the 13 principles of the faith. And so I was reading a book about that, and the gist of the book was, but even Maimonides didn't believe in all these 13.
Interesting.
That when you really kind of, and for whatever reason, that just set off something. I had an epiphany moment. And again, I don't believe the moment on the road to Damascus was just a moment. Right? If we're going to take that story at face value, he was thinking about it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Right? But I think that there is that moment of epiphany. And so I had that moment of epiphany where I was like, wow.
How old were you at that point?
So this would have been 2006. So I would have been 33.
So you had really no doubts prior to this.
Or
I don't think anybody out there has no doubts.
But you were secure in your faith.
Not only that.
Yeah.
Forget that I was secure. I was the expert at making things fit together.
Sure.
Because when you are looking at the Torah, and not just the Torah, because, even if you read the Torah, you're like, okay, this doesn't really fit with our values, right? If you're honest with yourself.
But
the additional, commentaries.
Because that's the horrific stuff.
Yeah.
It gets pretty nasty in the Torah.
Of course, 100%.
The body count is super high.
Yeah, very high.
The Torah, for those who aren't up on it, we're talking the Pentateuch. We're talking the first 5 books of the Bible. So if you were raised Christian, you know the Torah too.
Exactly.
You probably don't. You didn't read the Bible, let's be honest. But you did, David.
And so, I was really an expert at making this all fit together.
Oh, good.
Square hole, round peg, I can get it in there.
Nice.
And the way I put it is I stepped back and said, maybe different set of pegs or different set of holes.
Right.
There could be one answer rather than 10,000 answers about how each one of these things actually, no, there's no contradiction. Here's how I explain it.
Right.
If you just are willing to say, and I was aware of the fact that these beliefs existed. I was aware of probably more than the average Orthodox rabbi. I was aware of, say, Reformed theology. And so I was like, well, if I just accept this one little thing, and that is that this was not written by God. Because essentially, Orthodox belief it's described this way in the Talmud. Moses is writing like a scribe. So God dictates, think like Mad Men, like 1960s, like the boss is dictating, secretary's taking notes.
Right.
But
which by the way, we're very familiar with because God did that with our guy, with Joseph Smith.
Yeah,
exactly.
Via slightly different dictation. But
exactly.
Yes, exactly.
So God is dictating and Moses is writing down, meaning every word. And again, you go back to Maimonides. So every word is from God.
Right.
From, Hear, O Israel, to, and he quotes this, Timnah was the daughter of. Which is just like a genealogy,
right?
So these
are
every
equally important.
Participle is from the creator of the universe.
Every word.
Yes.
Every begat is important.
And not only that, but the oral Torah too. So the traditions that are later codified in the Talmud, that didn't come from some of it is rabbinic law, but the core of it is God said to Moses. So there was a written Torah and an oral Torah. And so
I think I knew a girl named Oral Torah. I may have gotten that wrong.
You have to step back and say, so if you step back and say, well, yes, these contradict each other because this was written by human beings living through 3,500 years ago.
Right. It does seem to make everything fit at once.
Then everything works. So now that was just the beginning of a journey.
Yeah, sure.
Because then it was like, because we don't, there's a lot of research on this. We don't really think in individual facts. We think in paradigms.
Sure.
We all have a paradigm. And so that's why, you tell the same fact to a Democrat and a Republican, and it will just strengthen their view.
Right.
Because it fits into that paradigm.
Or they fit it in somehow.
Many
times. They put the wrong peg in the right hole.
Exactly. Exactly. And so to me, it was like, I got to develop a new paradigm of thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
Right.
And so, and also, well, this is my career. So
right.
I'm not a plumber or an attorney or a doctor.
Right. You can't just abandon your beliefs and then be okay.
Continue to do this for a living.
Everything doesn't just keep going.
Exactly.
If you're a rabbi and principal of a Jewish school.
And my wife came from a fairly traditional family, but she essentially became more Orthodox when she married me. Like her mother, for that matter, my mother didn't cover their hair. Whereas Orthodox women cover their hair.
Right.
So my wife, she signed up for the yeshiva bacher.
Wow.
She signed up for the rabbi. And we were raising our kids in that fashion.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't even share it with her at first because I was like, well, what do you do
right
in this situation? So she ended up asking me a question because she was teaching like me, and she was asked a question. Now, this school has a lot of kids that are not Orthodox.
Okay.
So even though the school's Orthodox, kids are from across the gamut in the Jewish community. And kid asked her a question, had to do with something of inequality of women, a specific thing in that she was teaching.
The Achilles heel of all religions.
Exactly.
Women.
Yes. And so she's like, well, I've done this before. I have a question. Don't worry, I'll ask my husband. He'll have the answer. And so she asked me the question. I'm like, well, what if God didn't write it? And she's like, what?
Suddenly the earth shook in the Gruber household.
So it was, and then I was like, so listen, I can't hold back anymore. This is what I'm going through.
How long between your first realization with the Maimonides and then this moment?
A month.
Oh, okay.
About a month.
So pretty rapid.
Yeah. So I started doing a lot of reading and already, but and then we just started having discussions about that. And I literally probably read 100 to 150 books.
Yeah.
While ostensibly still, I had more than a year and a half left on my contract. And so I was just like, I'm going to continue doing my job just like I did it before. The way I looked at it is like a defense attorney who knows his client is guilty.
Right.
You still do the job, best of your ability. You don't change anything, right?
Sure.
And so I just continued doing my job and was like, and I just told them, hey, I'm going in another direction, so I'm not going to be renewing my contract. So, just so they're like, okay, we're looking for somebody new.
Right.
And just read a lot of, I read everything from a lot of biblical criticism, a lot of archaeology, biology, just...
You took the rabbinical approach to getting yourself out.
I've said before, I am the Orthodox rabbis, the currently Orthodox rabbi's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
In the tradition of the 48 Hours movie, remember the quote, I'm your worst nightmare?
Yeah.
With a gun, right? So I'm your worst nightmare. I am a secular person with Orthodox rabbinic ordination.
Right.
And I have studied both sides. So you don't really find a lot of people that have studied both sides to the depth that I have.
Indeed.
So then I just kind of knocked around for a little bit. I was there. I couldn't continue doing what I was doing for a living. There's no guidebook for people like me. They don't write guidebooks for like 3 people.
Right.
And so my wife is a lot smarter than I am, and she said, well, you could do interfaith weddings because that is a huge deal in the Jewish community.
Right. And this is something that I wanted to talk about as well, because you have now... But before we move on to interfaith weddings,
sure.
I do want to get to one point that sort of blew my mind the first time I heard this story, which was no one can tell you, even once you've said to yourself, God did not do this.
Right.
No one can tell you, well, you have to stop rabbiing now.
Right.
Like you are still a rabbi.
Sure.
Even though basically you've abandoned all the things that the rest of the rabbis say you have to.
The rest of the Orthodox rabbis.
Right, sure,
The rest of
sure.
the Orthodox rabbis. Yeah.
But so there's no organizing body that can de-rabbi you?
Well, that's the interesting thing about Orthodox Judaism is that there really is no central body.
Okay.
So Reform Judaism in the United States has a central body. Conservative Judaism has a central body. So there was recently, by the way, a conservative rabbi who officiated an interfaith wedding.
Oh.
And my dad told me that there are other guys that do this and just fly under the radar. Not many. I mean,
right.
2 or 3 that do it, they fly under the radar, nothing happens. Some guy went and basically snitched on this guy, and he was promptly, like within days, tossed out of the movement.
Wow.
So yeah, they have like, conservative Judaism is flexible about a lot of things, but they have like 3 or 4 things that's like, you do this, you're out.
Wow.
And officiating an interfaith wedding is one of them.
So in the Jewish tradition across the board, they want you to marry a Jew.
Yes.
You are not to marry outside the faith.
Yes. 100%.
And what happens? So, I'm a nice Jewish boy. I meet a nice Christian girl at school or whatever, and we fall in love. What am I to do?
So if you're an Orthodox Jew, she would have to convert.
Okay.
So Ivanka.
Right.
For instance.
There you go.
That's
prime example.
Jared said, here's the deal, And so she said, okay. It used to be, say 50 years ago, or definitely 75 years ago, that was really that was the only option.
That was it.
And so, I have, a great aunt or 2, who are, who were never tremendously religious, but they converted.
Right.
Even Marilyn Monroe converted.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
Oh.
Arthur Miller's Jewish.
Yeah, that's right.
She converted. Yeah, they auctioned off her
for a second, I was like, Joe
certificate.
DiMaggio is Jewish. No. Oh, right. Arthur, I remember.
JFK was a
Italians. Italians are like Jews, just with nicer noses. That's all. Yeah. So Marilyn Monroe herself.
There you go.
Converted to marry Arthur Miller. So that used to be the only way to do it. Of course, as the rest of the world started changing, come along the 60s and the 70s, things start to loosen, and people start to feel a little awkward about saying to their kids, you must marry a Jew. A little awkward. Right. It's not that it doesn't happen. And now, we're at the point, these are 2013 numbers. Pew did a few really serious studies. 2013, I think, was the last one. So 58% of Jews marry non-Jews right now.
Oh, wow.
States. And if you remove the Orthodox from the mix, so set the Orthodox aside at 71%.
Which makes sense to me because the dating pool expands 1,000-fold.
We are 2% of the population in the United States.
Right. So if you want to increase your chances of finding somebody that you really gel with, you got to go outside the community.
Yeah. And so then the question is, you can do it the old way, and if you're Orthodox, that's how you're going to do it. Maybe if you're conservative, maybe even if you're Reform. Say somebody grows up in just a nominally conservative, nominally Christian family.
Sure.
Christmas, Easter kind of thing. And if it's really important to your partner,
Right.
and you're like, I mean, okay, what are we doing? We're talking reform here? So what do I got to do? Okay, no more Christmas tree. We got to light candles.
Right.
And I got to at least make believe for a few months that I really want to do this and convince the rabbi. And, I'm not trying to offend.
Right,
I'm just
no.
saying, there are those that are like hook, line, and sinker.
He's trying to tell you how to do this, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But there are some people
Fake it till you make it.
There are some people that are just like, okay, you go meet with the rabbi, and the rabbi says, so a specific rabbi I can think of in Dallas, like, okay, you gotta join the congregation, you gotta do these 2 courses, you gotta attend a certain number of services, and some people are like gung ho doing it, and then other people are like, sure,
bare minimum. I'll slide in.
Just tell me what I gotta say,
right?
Yeah, the Catholics have the same
of
kind
course,
of thing. When you want to marry a Catholic girl,
yeah.
you got to go through this.
100, and so and so there are those that will convert, and then there are those that nowadays are maybe they do feel strongly about the religious tradition they come from,
right,
and they don't want to convert,
right.
And so then the question is, what do you do? And that's going to be the majority.
Yeah, exactly.
And so where does that leave those people? And so my wife very wisely said, there's a need for that, and so I started doing that. And
so you go all over the country, including to
even
Utah.
abroad. Yeah, even abroad.
And abroad.
Third time in the great state of Utah.
There you go.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And you perform weddings for people who are of different faiths.
Yes,
because you're the only
you're
one of the few rabbis willing to do this
without any conditions. So
okay.
See, there's a large minority of Reform rabbis that will do this.
Okay.
But they'll do it.
They'll do it except
for
with the following conditions.
Yeah. So and again, I am saying this in the most respectful manner because as far as I'm concerned, they're at least doing it.
Right.
And their job is not to marry people. Their job is to promote Reform Judaism.
Right.
That's their job. They're getting paid to do that. That's their duty.
Yeah.
And so if you are a Reform rabbi and you say, okay, well, here's what I feel I need to do.
Yeah.
So Reform Judaism is not as legalistic. It doesn't believe in the authority of Jewish law like conservative and Orthodox Judaism does. So it lets rabbis more set their standards, but I totally understand a rabbi who says, okay, my standards are you have to agree to raise your children as Jewish, that's the only religion in the household. Mm. You have to agree that we're going to have a fully Jewish ceremony, so no co-officiating and no like Corinthians or anything like that.
Can't have a cross under the chuppah.
Right?
Is that what it is? Did I get it right?
Exactly. Very good.
I did. Oh, nice.
Pronounced it correctly and everything.
See what I did
Very
there?
good. And a big one is we're not going to do it on a Saturday or a Friday night. So we're going to do it, on a Sunday, or if it's like the winter, we can do it on a Saturday night once it's dark, that kind of thing. And those are my conditions,
right?
And that I totally respect that, but that doesn't work for everybody,
right?
And so then the question is, okay, so if you say no to that couple, or you say yes, but, and from their end, they're like, okay, well, that doesn't work for me. So it's essentially a no. Then what happens?
Right.
And so there are a small minority of rabbis that will do it without any conditions. That essentially their only condition is, do you love each other? Am I free for that date?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what I do, and I have a few colleagues around the country that do this. And the idea basically is, I want people to walk away with, on a spectrum somewhere between, so worst case scenario, they say, that was a really good experience.
Right.
I have a wonderful taste in my mouth about Judaism.
Okay, sure.
That's worst case. That's not a bad worst case scenario.
No, that's pretty
solid. They never
solid.
do anything else Jewish. When they remember their wedding, they're like, we got married by a rabbi, and people still talk about the ceremony because it was so touching and beautiful, and everybody understood what was going on because he explained it and blah, blah. Best case scenario, and this does happen, and this is not a value judgment,
right?
Because I don't believe people should have to convert, or you do whatever you want to do.
Right.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. That's my approach. But I do have people that will come back to me because I'm, I maintain contact with 99% of my couples, like through Facebook and stuff like that. And I'll be like, hey, happy birthday on Facebook. I'll be like, hey, guess who converted last week? Or I'll have somebody call me up and say, I've had couples halfway through the process like, oh my God, this is so cool. Can you convert me?
Wow.
And my answer is no. Because I believe that to convert, you really need to be part of a congregation.
Right.
Because, again, it goes back to Judaism is not just a set of beliefs, but it's you are becoming part of the congregation of Israel. And so I'll say, I can't do it, but I'll hook you up with a synagogue. That rabbi is really cool, totally very personable, and go talk to him or her.
Now, what's fascinating about this to me is that the religious aspects of this, the Torah and all of this sort of the hand of God having written all of this stuff is not something that you connect with anymore.
No. Nor do most Jews.
Well, okay.
Let's acknowledge that. Nor do most Jews.
So what is it that you are championing or what is it that you're happy about when you hear someone saying, I'm going to convert to Judaism? What is it that in that move that makes you happy?
Right. So that's what I was saying. That's not a value judgment, meaning I am no more happier if they decide to convert versus if they did not convert.
Oh, okay.
You're agnostic on the subject. It's just...
Yeah. I'm just saying these are, a set of possibilities.
Okay.
So if you want to ascribe worst versus best, or less Jewish versus more Jewish.
I think
maybe the phrasing.
What he's trying to say here is that his weddings are so baller.
Yeah,
exactly.
That you just want to be
totally.
all the way Jewish.
Everybody in that congregation is like, by the end of this ceremony, I hope that all of the wine here
people
is too
constantly
sweet.
Come up to me later after the wedding and are like, oh, my friend just told me she wants to convert. Of course, well, they mean it was a nice ceremony.
And you can tell it was effective after the ceremony if everybody starts sending their food back. Right?
Well, totally, yeah. Isn't this kosher? I was told there'll be kosher food here.
It's cold.
And such small portions.
Exactly. So, yeah. So that's to me, my Judaism is my civilization, my culture, my ethnicity, my nationality. It's my intellectual tradition.
Sure.
Even when I was Orthodox, I really connected more with the intellectual tradition behind it. And so, to me, it's very rewarding to see a person who says, in this day and age, right, they're marrying a non-Jew.
Right.
And they say, we want a rabbi to be part of our ceremony. And so, because people will ask me, this happened at the last wedding I did. Somebody came up to me and said, so how are you, why are you doing this? Why are you allowed to do this? Or, their question was, how can you do this? It's still Shabbat. It's still Saturday.
Right.
But sometimes it'll just be like, well, why? Why do you do this? I always flip it back and say, ask my colleagues why they don't.
Right.
Right. And they're a little bit thrown off by that. But my approach is really just that. You're marrying a non-Jew, and you want a rabbi to be part of your ceremony. How do we not celebrate that?
Right.
How do we not say that is so cool?
They're inviting it in. They're inviting this idea and this tradition in. Yeah.
And you're comfortable with co-officiating?
Yes.
So
yes,
if they want, if half of
no
the ceremony,
conditions.
if half of the ceremony is you and half is a lesbian Wiccan,
totally.
You're going to
I'm
be
looking
fine.
forward. That hasn't happened before. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it'll happen.
Do you go bowling on Saturdays? Will you bowl
Do I
on
go
the Shabbat?
bowling on Saturdays? I don't go bowling at all. I mean,
Well, that's
there you go.
That's consistent.
You don't roll on Shabbos then.
My
That's
kids
good.
when my kids were very little, they would say, "Yeah, take us to bowling." Fortunately, the youngest is 15. They're no longer interested.
I think Mark is making a
Walter Sobchak joke.
Okay,
a
that
pop
one
culture
went
reference.
totally over my head. Remember, you can take the Orthodox Jew out of Orthodox Judaism, but you really can't fully take.
Right.
know.
We'll see how your Judaism stands up to
yeah.
The Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski is a wonderful movie. which took me many years to watch. But once I watched, I was like, this is like they go through an explanation of what it is to keep the Shabbat and everything.
That's right.
It's so like John Goodman is like still observing Judaism even after he divorced the person who was Jewish.
Yep. Not that everyone
incredible.
Not that everyone respects that in the film.
No,
it's happening.
no.
But he respects it.
He respects it,
and that's what matters.
That's right. There you go. Well, Rabbi Gruber, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a fascinating discussion.
Thank you.
Super interesting, and thank you. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Is there a website that we can direct people to if anyone listening decides that they need an interfaith wedding?
Oh, yes. So it's very easy. It's interfaithweddingrabbi.net.
Okay.
.com was not available 10 years ago, so I went with the .net. So interfaithweddingrabbi.net, or if you just Google Interfaith Wedding Rabbi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to you. You're performing a ceremony tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, in Park City.
Well, good luck with that, and good luck with all of your ventures. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hopefully, we'll have you back
honor and a
sometime.
pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Well, friends, that's it for this week's show.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Hey, send us an email if you like at howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or if you want to yell at Dan, you can leave us a voicemail at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986.
Who doesn't want to yell at me? Hey, if you want to become a patron to our show, we'd sure appreciate it. You can go to howtoheretic.com to do that.
And we should say thanks to Cody Layton for producing and editing the show.
And thanks to everyone, to Professor Jim and to Rabbi Gruber for both coming on. And thank you, dear friends, for tuning in.
Bye-bye, friends.